I stood in the kitchen of my modest cabin on the outskirts of Bozeman, Montana, the morning sun streaming through the window like a promise of a good day. The coffee pot gurgled as I ground fresh beans, the rich aroma filling the air and chasing away the chill of the high plains winter. Outside, the Rockies loomed in the distance, snow-capped and eternal, a reminder of how small our family squabbles really were. But today wasn't just any day. It was my father's 70th birthday bash at the family ranch, and my cousin Sarah's call shattered the peace, like a coyote's howl at dawn. "Emma, you still coming out to the ranch tonight?" Sarah's voice dripped with that fake cheer she always used when she was up to something. I could picture her twirling her hair, smiling like a fox in the henhouse.
"Yeah,
"I'll be there," I replied, keeping my tone even as I poured hot water over the grounds. No sense in letting her know she'd already got under my skin. "Great.
oh,
And bring your ID. Just in case. You know how these family gatherings can get. Folks might not recognize everyone right away." Her laugh was light, but it cut deep. As if I, his own daughter, needed proof to step foot on the land I'd grown up on. It was a subtle dig, the kind that hid behind politeness. But I knew better. Sarah hung up with a sing-song goodbye, and I set the phone down, staring at the steam rising from my mug. This wasn't just a reminder, it was a warning shot. Family events in our clan were never simple barbecues. They were battlegrounds where old grudges simmered like stew over a campfire. My father, Jonathan Hayes, had built our ranch from scratch, turning barren Montana dirt into a thriving cattle operation. He ran it like a frontier empire, with my older sister Sophia as his right-hand marshal. She'd always been the golden child, sharp as a tack, dressed in crisp Wranglers and boots that never saw mud, perfectly embodying Dad's vision of legacy and grit.
me?
I'd taken a different trail. When Mom got sick with cancer a few years back, I dropped out of college in Missoula to care for her full-time. It wasn't a choice I regretted. Those months by her bedside were sacred, but Dad saw it as me bucking the family plan.
To him,
I was the wanderer, the one who didn't fit the mold. Tonight's bash was meant to celebrate Dad's milestone, but I sensed the undercurrent. Birthdays out here weren't just about ribs and beer. They were rituals to reinforce who held the reins. Sarah's call confirmed it. Something was brewing, and I was the target. I finished my coffee, grabbed my keys, and headed out to my truck. The drive to the ranch wound through sagebrush valleys, the kind of landscape that made you feel alive and alone all at once. By the time I pulled up to the sprawling haze spread, the sun was dipping low, casting golden hues over the corrals and the big red barn where the party was set up. The air smelled of mesquite smoke from the grill, and laughter echoed from clusters of kinfolk in cowboy hats and flannel. I approached the check-in table. "Yeah." Dad insisted on 1-4 organization and smiled at the hired hand manning it. "Emma Hayes. For the Hayes party," I said. He scanned the list, frowning. Here you are." "But it's just Emma, guest." He handed me a name tag that read the same. No last name, like I was some stray who'd wandered in off the range. My stomach twisted, but I kept my cool. "Must be a mix-up," he muttered, avoiding my eyes. Before I could respond, Sophia swept in, all perfume and pearls over her denim shirt.
"Oh,
"That's probably nothing," she said breezily, snatching the tag and handing it back without fixing it. "Come on, enjoy the party." She glided away to greet Uncle Carl, leaving me standing there with whispers buzzing like flies. I pocketed the tag, refusing to wear it like a brand of shame. 2 of Dad's old ranch buddies cornered me next. "You the +1 tonight, darlin'?" One chuckled, tipping his hat. I'm his daughter, I shot back calmly, watching their faces fall into awkward grins.
No apologies.
Just shuffled feet. I moved on, scanning the setup. The seating was picnic tables under string lights, but mine was shoved by the porta-potties, far from the head table where Dad held court. Small slights, but in our family, they were arrows aimed true. Finding my spot, I sat down, the scent of barbecue wafting over. From here, I could see the mountains framing everything, a stark reminder of the land's unforgiving beauty. Laughter boomed from Dad's table, warm to outsiders, but laced with exclusion for me. I texted Uncle Carl,
The one ally I had. Game on already.
"You see this?" His reply, eyes open. "It's ramping up." I nodded to myself, slipping the phone away. They wanted a reaction, but I'd bide my time like a hunter in the blinds. As the evening unfolded, the grill sizzled with steaks, and folks mingled under the twilight sky. I watched Sophia work the crowd, her smiles calculated, touching arms and leaning in like she owned every soul. Sarah huddled with cousins, glancing my way with smirks. Dad didn't even look over, deep in tales with his cronies. Then the MC, Dad's old foreman, grabbed the mic. "Folks, Jonathan wants a word before we dig in." Applause rippled. Dad stood tall in his starched shirt, voice booming like thunder over the plains. He thanked everyone, reminisced about wrangling cattle through blizzards, then praised his kids. Sophia's taken the reins like a pro, expanding the herd and negotiating deals that'd make any rancher proud.
Cheers.
He nodded to a nephew's new truck, a cousin's wedding. Then his eyes flicked to me. And Emma's always marched to her own drum, dropped out to backpack the trails. Our free spirit. Light chuckles spread. But he twisted it. Those trails were hospital halls, not hikes. I'd sacrificed for Mom, not wandered aimlessly. I sipped my soda, face neutral. Truth hits harder in silence. A woman beside me, a distant aunt,
Leaned in.
"Haven't seen you since the county fair." I shared my real story softly, caring for Mom, the quiet strength it built. Her eyes softened. "That took real guts." Across the way, Sophia's smile tightened.
Good.
The first plates arrived, but my phone buzzed. Carl again. "They're building to something. Stay sharp." I glanced at Dad's table, their heads close. This was chess on the prairie, and I was ready to flip the board. Against the barn wall, a display table gleamed under lights, old photos of Dad on horseback, branding irons, awards from livestock shows. Center stage, the leather journal I'd gifted him at retirement, meant for ranch logs and family lore. But the plaque read, "From Sophia." I froze, watching her guide a guest over, claiming credit with a humble shrug. The erasure burned, but I stayed put. React now. Lose later. A server approached. "Mr. Hayes wants family gifts now." I walked up, handing over my wrapped box, a custom saddlebag organizer for his tools, letters, and watch. He opened it halfway, glanced, and shut it. "Keep this for your own rig."
Emma.
He set it aside like trash. Humiliation stung, but I walked back steady. Carl murmured as he passed, "They're stacking the deck." I nodded. "Tonight."
Idegatashas.
The Montana night deepened, stars punching through the velvet sky like diamonds on black felt. Around me, the party thrummed with the twang of a country band and the clatter of plates. But under the surface, tension coiled like a rattler in the grass. I'd catalogued the slights, the incomplete name tag, Dad's twisted speech. The stolen journal credit. The rejected gift. Each was a thread in their web, meant to isolate me like a calf cut from the herd. I sat at my peripheral table, picking at ribs that tasted like ash. Uncle Carl's words echoed. Every layer they add makes their fall heavier. He was right. This wasn't random cruelty. It was a coordinated push to erase my stake in the Hayes legacy. The ranch wasn't just land, it was our bloodline, passed down through generations of hard winters and harder work. But lately, whispers of deed changes had reached me, hints that Sophia was angling to inherit it all, with Dad's blessing. My phone vibrated, a text from an unknown number. Check the county records. Deeds in her name now. My heart pounded. I slipped away to my truck, pulling up the online portal on my phone. There it was, the family ranch transferred to Sophia Hayes, effective last month. No mention of me, no shared title. But Montana law required all heirs' consent for such moves, especially post-Mom's passing. My signature was missing, forged or omitted. Rage simmered, but I screenshotted it all. Evidence was my lasso now. Back at the party, I spotted Sarah sharing a laugh with cousins over phones. Curiosity pulled me closer. I overheard rent-free and snickers. Later, another anonymous text arrived, a screenshot from a family group chat. Emma thinks she's entitled, living rent-free in our heads, LOL. Emojis piled on, including one from Sophia. Thumbs up. They'd cropped me out of the immediate family photo taken earlier, posting it online with captions about core Hayes crew. The betrayal hit like a bucking bronco. This wasn't just exclusion, it was a smear campaign. Digital proof of their malice. I forwarded it to Carl. Got the rope they handed me. His reply, tie it tight. But wait for the roundup. I returned to my seat, composure intact. A cousin approached hesitantly. Heard about the deed. That ain't right. I nodded, sharing just enough to plant seeds of doubt. Words spread like wildfire in dry grass, relatives glancing, murmuring. Sophia noticed, her eyes narrowing as she whispered to Dad. The band struck up a line dance, but I stayed put. Mind racing. In Montana, property disputes could drag through courts. But with forged docs, that was fraud. Clear as a mountain stream. I mentally filed it. Consult a Bozeman lawyer. Gather affidavits from witnesses to my contributions, like the years I'd managed the books during Mom's illness. As the night wound down, Dad called for toasts. Sophia's was polished. To Dad, the heart of this ranch, and to keeping it strong for generations. Cheers. But her glance at me was a challenge. Sarah followed with a jab disguised as humor. And to Emma, our adventurer, may she find her path. Laughter. But strain now. I didn't toast. Instead, I slipped out early, driving home under the vast sky. The anonymous texter messaged again. More coming. Stay strong. Morning brought crisp air and resolve. I printed the deed.
Chatlog.
Photo crop, building my dossier like a sheriff's case file. An email arrived, cease and desist from a Billings firm, accusing me of defaming the Hayes name and threatening suit if I interfered with property matters. I laughed bitterly. This confirmed they knew I had dirt. Forwarded to Carl. Their bluff. He called sloppy. No basis, without proof of defamation. Counter with your evidence. Quietly build allies. I reached out to a neutral cousin,
Jake,
who'd whispered support before. Can't talk now, he said curtly, then posted vacation pics from Yellowstone.
Ghosted.
It hurt, but I crossed him off. Fence-sitters wouldn't help when storms hit. By afternoon, another zip file from the informant. Full chat logs. Sophia, make sure Emma's table's by the outhouse. Keep her out of shots. Dad, core family photo first. Instructions to downplay my role. Even mock my caregiving as flaking out. Arrogance preserved in pixels. I backed it up thrice. Encrypted. This was dynamite. Met a friend.
Mia.
At a coffee shop in town, a PR whiz from Ranching Stock. Showed select pieces. Timeline's your weapon, she said. Drop it at a family meet. Force public reckoning. We brainstormed. Time a reveal with the annual cattle auction, where reputations mattered. Leak to elders subtly. Prepare legal filing for fraud. Home. I drafted letters to waivers. Facts only. Witnessed exclusion? See attachments. No drama. Just truth's weight. Carl called. They're meeting tomorrow without you. Plotting spin. I smiled coldly. Then I'll crash with fireworks. The plan solidified. Protect evidence. Rally quiet support. Strike at peak vulnerability. This wasn't vengeance, it was justice. Montana style. Fair. Firm. And final. The next day's drive to the meeting felt like heading into a showdown at high noon. The venue was a neutral community hall in Livingston. Rented for family business. Code for carving up the ranch without me. I arrived uninvited. Truck parked boldly out front.
Inside.
The room smelled of old wood and fresh coffee. Folding tables arranged in a circle like a powwow gone wrong. Head swiveled as I entered. Coat draped over my arm. Folder in hand. Dad's eyes hardened. Sophia's lips thinned. Sarah fidgeted. I took a seat at the end. Voice steady. Figured I'd join the talk about our future. Seeing as it's mine too. Grumbling. But no one challenged. Witnesses made them cautious. When a pause hit, I placed the folder center table. Let's address the elephant. The deed transfer. Missing my sign-off. Per Montana probate law after Mom's will. I narrated calmly. Birthday exclusions. Forged docs.
Check proof.
Attachments passed around. Gasps as relatives saw the memes. The plots. Dad interrupted. You're spinning tales.
Emma.
Always the victim. These are your words. I countered evenly. Fraud's a felony here. Up to 10 years.
Finis.
But we can resolve family style first. Silence fell heavy as a blanket of snow. I handed USBs to elders Aunt Linda and Uncle Ben. Respected for their fairness. Full records. Decide with facts. The shift was palpable. Murmurs. Side eyes at Dad's crew. Sophia whispered furiously. But control slipped like sand. I stood. This ends through lawyers if not here. You said I didn't belong. Maybe you're right. I've outgrown the toxicity. Walked out to Carl waiting in his pickup. They looked gut-punched, he grinned.
Good.
Time for phase 2. Back home. The anonymous texter. Crown slipping. Next, I pondered under the stars. Revenge tempted. But a softer path emerged, perhaps redemption. A lesson in unity over division. Days blurred into strategy. Relatives reached out quietly. Didn't know the half. I shared more. Building a coalition. One confessed. Sophia pushed the deed. Dad signed blind. Legal clarity. Montana's Uniform Probate Code required my consent as co-heir. Forgery? Criminal. I consulted a Bozeman attorney, prepping a quiet claim to void the transfer. But humanity crept in. Mom's dying wish was family harmony, her letters reminded me. Vengeance might win land but lose souls. Carl advised, hit M with truth, but offer an olive branch. Ranch is big enough for all. I drafted a proposal. Joint ownership. Mediation. Personnel over property. Meanwhile, Pressure mounted. Sarah called, voice shaky. This is tearing us apart.
Talk. Not yet, I said.
Actions first. A family barbecue loomed. Perfect timing. I arrived with my lawyer's letter. Demand for mediation or court. Tensions crackled like a bonfire. Dad confronted. You're destroying our name.
No. I rappelé soufflé.
I'm saving it from lies. Relatives sided subtly, urging talks. Sophia broke. I thought you didn't care about the ranch. I care about fairness, I said. Tears welled. Hers and mine. First crack in the armor. We talked late into the night. Truths spilling like rain after drought. Dad admitted blindness to my sacrifices. Sophia confessed jealousy over my bond with Mom.
No instant fix.
But seeds planted. I withdrew the suit threat, opting for counseling. The deed reverted to joint. Healing began slow, like spring thaw. Lesson: family's fragile. Guard it with honesty, not hierarchies. The confrontation lingered in my chest like a bruise. But as I drove home, wind whipping through the open window, a strange peace settled. I'd stood my ground without stooping to their level. Mom would have been proud, not for winning, but for seeking mending. Over the next weeks, I dove deeper into the legal weeds. Montana's laws on undue influence in transfers were clear. If proven, the deed was voidable. Chats showed coercion. But I held back, sending a mediation invite instead. Responses trickled. Aunt Linda hosted a neutral dinner. There, vulnerabilities emerged. Dad's voice cracked. Lost sight after your mom. Feared losing control. Sophia's admission. Felt I had to prove myself. Stepped on you to climb. Sarah just followed the pack.
Sorry.
Tears flowed.
Une tentative.
We agreed to therapy. Redraft the will equitably. The ranch endured. But stronger. Lessons in empathy over ego. I found my place not in land, but in forgiveness's quiet strength. Summer rolled in like a warm breeze over the Montana prairies. Wildflowers blooming where snow had blanketed months before. The ranch buzzed with activity, calving season wrapping. Fences mended. But the real mending was us. After the Hall showdown, we'd committed to family counseling in Bozeman, a neutral space with a therapist versed in ranching dynasties dramas. Sessions were raw, Dad grappling with guilt over sidelining my grief for Mom. I buried it in work, he admitted, eyes misty. Sophia shared her pressure, always the air, afraid you'd outshine if given a shot. Sarah confessed pack mentality, feared exclusion myself.
I laid bottom my hurts, Erasures. Max.
But I own my silence too. Should have spoken sooner. Tears cleansed like a mountain stream. Legally, we voided the deed via mutual agreement. Redrafting with equal shares. No court battles, just affidavits affirming consent. Montana's emphasis on mediation suited us. It preserved dignity. Daily life shifted. I managed the ecotourism side, turning part of the ranch into guided hikes. My free spirit turned asset. Sophia handled cattle. We collaborated, tensions easing into respect. One evening, around the fire pit, Dad handed back my saddlebag gift. Fits perfect now, he said gruffly. Apology in action. Sarah organized a real family photo, me front and center. Chats turned positive. Planning, not plotting. The anonymous informant revealed a disgruntled ranch hand, fired unfairly. Glad it helped heal, he texted. Challenges lingered. Old habits died hard. But we learned communication over conspiracy. The ranch thrived. A testament to unity. Carl summed it. Blood's thicker when you don't spill it. I walked the trails Mom loved, feeling her presence. Lesson etched, revenge tempts, but redemption endures. Family's not ownership, it's ongoing choice to mend. A pivotal session. Sophia broke down. I envied your freedom, stuck in Dad's shadow. We hugged. First in years. Post-session drives home fostered bonds, sharing stories.
Laughs.
Legal wrap. Lawyer confirmed clean transfer. We celebrated with a ranch picnic.
Toasts genuine.
Personal growth. I enrolled in online courses, blending passion with legacy. Dad joined hikes. Opening up. Subtle dramas faded. Empathy grew. Article in local paper. Hayes Ranch, from feud to future. Pride swelled. Nightly. Stars overhead. I reflected. Pain forged strength, but compassion built bridges. That's the Western way, resilient, redemptive. As autumn painted the Rockies in fiery reds and golds, the Hayes Ranch stood as a beacon of renewal. Calves fattened, harvests hauled, symbols of our rebuilt foundation. Counseling wrapped, but habits stuck, weekly check-ins around the kitchen table. No topics off limits. Dad's health scare, a minor heart flutter, brought us closer. I drove him to appointments. Conversations flowing like the Yellowstone River. Missed so much with you, he confessed. Won't again. Sophia and I partnered on a sustainable grazing plan, her expertise meshing with my innovation. You're the spark we needed, she admitted over coffee. Sarah redeemed. Organized my birthday bash. No slights, just warmth. Learn my lesson, she whispered. The deed? Securely joint, with clauses for fair mediation. Legally airtight. Emotionally sound. Community noticed. Neighbors shared similar tales. Inspired by our turnaround. We hosted a workshop. Ranching families, healing divides. Personal peace. I found love in small things, sunrises over pastures. Mom's journal, reclaimed. Forgave fully. Not forgetting, but freeing. One crisp evening. Family gathered for stargazing. Dad raised a glass to second chances and the grit to take echoes of agreement. Lesson profound yet light. In the vast West, space exists for all if we make room. Betrayal scars, but grace heals. Our legacy? Not land, but love reclaimed. Word count, 952, expand. Final reflections. Years on. The ranch prospers. Kids, nieces, nephews, learn our story as cautionary tale. Talk it out. Don't scheme. I mentor them, emphasizing empathy. Dad's 71st, inclusive, joyous. No games, just genuine bonds. In quiet moments, I hike alone, wind whispering affirmations. Transformed by trial, enriched by resolution. True victory, not conquest, but connection. The end wasn't dramatic fireworks, but steady dawn, human, hopeful. That's the heart of our American West. Endure, evolve,
Embrace.